Welcome to South America and welcome to Venezuela. Venezuela has something odd going on, and that is that the population appears to be decreasing. It had a high of 32 million a few years ago. It currently appears to be down to 29 million people. This is almost certainly the result of massive mismanagement and a variety of crises brought on by the government, beginning with the Chavez administration and going through the Maduro administration. What appears to be happening is massive emigration. Immigration with an I means moving into a place. Emigration with an E means leaving a place. If you recall, there are a variety of push factors and pull factors. What's happening in Venezuela appears to be a combination of economic and political push factors. That is, poverty in all likelihood and lack of an economic future, along with any opposition to the current government results in some level of persecution. And what that's caused is people leaving Venezuela, or so it appears. Let's look at the demographics a little bit of the country. Do you need to memorize those numbers, the 32 million, the 29 million? The answer is really no. There are two countries that I want you to actually know the numbers for. That's China and India. By way of comparison, you can know the United States, which is about 330 million, but China is the largest country in population in the world. India is the second largest population. I'm more interested in you understanding things proportionately. So if you think about the population of Venezuela, it's maybe 25% the population of, for example, Mexico. And of course, the largest country in Latin America is going to be Brazil. More than half the population in Venezuela is a highly mixed population, as in this combination of European, indigenous, and African. And as I mentioned before, Venezuela has one of the most urban populations in South America. It may very well be the most urban population in South America. For sure, over 90% of the people live in cities. There are 4 subregions in Venezuela. I will tell you something as I go through these, that every Venezuelan knows what I am about to tell you, which is that there are 4 subregions. The first one is called the Andes Highlands, which I have circled there. The second one is called the Maracaibo Lowlands, which centers on Lake Maracaibo that you can see circled in this slide. Then there are the Guiana Highlands, which is the southern part of the country. And then the Llanos, which is between the Andes Highlands and the Guiana Highlands. We're going to look at the Andes Highlands area first. This is the population and the political center. So in other words, the majority of the people in Venezuela live in this Andes Highlands area, and Caracas is there. This is a photograph of Caracas. If you look at this photograph, one of the things that you should notice is that Caracas is in a valley. You can see mountains on one side. There's actually mountains on both sides, and Caracas stretches over 7, 8, 9, 10 miles. It's a weird, long, skinny city that sits in this valley between the mountains. So when I say the Andes Highlands, I'm not talking about people living on the tops of the mountains. They mostly live in the valleys between the mountains. Let's take a look at this map. So if you look at the yellow arrow, you can see in Peru, the Andes are a big block of mountains. And Peru is probably, at least where that arrow's at, about halfway along the north-south stretch of the Andes Mountains. Then if you look at this blue arrow, you can see that as you head north away from Peru, when the Andes reach the Ecuadorian-Colombian border, they break into 3 branches. And then if you continue and you follow the eastern branch, that branch once again splits so that one part of it goes straight up north, up towards the ocean, and then the other one heads off to the east and then goes along the coast. The area that I'm talking about, the area in question regarding Venezuela, the Andes Highlands, is where that red arrow is at. It's that eastern branch that heads up to the south of Lake Maracaibo and then goes along the coast, the northern coast of South America. Take a look at this diagram that I've drawn for you. This is what that area looks like, the Andes Highlands. where there's mountains and then there's a valley between them. This is a bisection of the Andes. Venezuela is a very warm, very tropical landscape. When the Spanish first arrived, what they realized was that the lowlands of Venezuela were hot, steamy, tropical, had a lot of insects, and as a result of that, disease spread easily. So what people began to do throughout the Andes, but especially in Venezuela and in Colombia, was they began to go up into the valleys where that red blob is at that the arrow's pointing at. They went up there because of this. It's cooler there. Because of that, there's fewer insects. Because of that, there's less disease. It's solidly in the Tierra Templada land, which means a little bit around 3,000 feet up to around 6,000 feet overwhelmingly. And out of sheer dumb luck, it also tends to be very fertile landscape.